Hello everyone. So we are here from a group of Soisolinguistic who would like to present our presentation about speech communities and language changes. So before we start our presentation, we would like to introduce ourselves. Start from my friends. Time is yours.
My name is Khoirun Nisa Pasaribu and my ID number is 1907051121.
My name is Ruth Audrey Sinaga 1907051107.
My name is Suraj. My ID number 1907050553.
And my name is Enjelina Saragih with ID number 1907050447. So the first thing that we will like to talk is about the definition of speech communities. So sociolinguistics is the study of language used within or among groups of speakers. What are groups? Groups is a difficult concept to define, but one we must try to grasp. For one purposes, a group must have at least two members, but there is really no upper limit to group membership. People can group together for one or more reasons: social, religious, political, cultural, familial, vocational, avocational, and etc. The kind of groups that sociolinguists have generally attempted to study is called the speech of community. Next slide. So now we will talk about intersecting communities. The fact that people do use expressions such as New York speech, London speech, and South African speech indicates that they have some idea of how a typical person from each place speaks. That is, of what it is like to be a member of a particular speech community, somehow loosely defined. Such a person may be said to be typical by virtue of observing the linguistic norms one associates with the particular place in question. And now about network and repertoires. You are said to be involved in a dense network if the people you know and interact with also know and interact with one another. If they do not, the network is a loose one. You are also said to be involved in a multiplex network if the people within it are tied together in more than one way, not just through work, but also through other social activities. People who go to school together, marry each other's siblings, and work and play together participate in dense multiplex network. In England, these are said to be found at the extreme of the social class structure. Such Such networks indicate strong social cohesion, produce feelings of solidarity, and encourage individuals to identity with others within the network. On the other hand, middle-class networks are likely to be loose and simplex. Therefore, social cohesion is reduced and there are weaker feelings of solidarity and identity.
So I will continue our topic. In this view, each individual has his or her own distinctive verbal repertoire, and each speech community in which that person participates has its distinctive speech repertoire. In fact, one could argue that this repertoire is its defining feature. Focusing on the repertoires of individuals and specifically on the precise linguistic choice they make in well-defined circumstance that seem to offer us some hope of explaining how people use linguistic choice to bond themselves to others in very subtle ways. A speaker's choice of a particular sound, word, or expression marks that speaker in some way. It can say, I am like you, or I am not like you. When the speaker also has some kind of range within which you choose, and the choice itself helps to define the occasion. Then many different outcomes are possible. A particular choice may say, I am an X just like you, or it may say, I am an X but you are a Y. It may even be possible that a particular choice may say, up till now, I have been an X, but from now on you must regard as a Y. As when, for example, someone pretends to be something he or she is not and then slips up. However, it also seems that it is not merely a simple matter of always choosing X rather than Y. For example, of never saying singing but always saying singing. Rather, it may be a matter for proportion. You will say singing a certain percent of the time and singing the rest of the time. In other words, the social bonding that results from the linguistic choice you make may depend on the quantity of certain linguistic characteristics as well as their quality. The next topic is about language change. Creoles and Pidgins. A Pidgin is a language with non-native speakers. It is the one first language but is a contact language. That is, it is the product of a multilingual situation in which those who wish to communicate must find or improvise a simple language system that will enable them to do so. A pidgin is therefore sometimes regarded as a reduced variety of a normal language, one of the aforementioned dominant language, with simplification of the grammar and vocabulary of that language, considerable phonological variation, and an admixture of local vocabulary to meet the special needs of the contact group. By Home 1988. A reduced language that results from extended contact between groups of people with no language in common. It evokes when they need some means of verbal communication, perhaps for trade, but no group learns the native language of any other group, for social reasons that may include lack of trust or of close contact. Next.
The linguistic characteristics of a pidgin and a crow are difficult to resist the temptation to compare with a standard language with its associated. In certain circumstances, such as comparison may be good sense, as a linguistic situation in Jamaica and Guyana, but it seems a little makes sense in Haiti. That some such comparison will be made, but they are not meant to be individuals to the pidgin crow. Its pidgin and crow are a well-organized linguistic system and must be treated as we cannot speak Neo-Melanesia, and need to simply English quite elaborately that you will virtually incomprehensible to those who actually do speak it, nor will you comprehend them. The sounds of pidgin or crows are likely to be braver and less complicated in their possible arrangement than those of responding standard language. For example, Neo-Melanesia make use only 5 basic vowels and also have braver consonant than English. No contrast between words like it and it or pin, and pin or sip and sip. The necessary vowel and consonant distinction or contrast are not present. Some change in progress. The pronoun system happened hundreds of years ago without incident. This day, a different change is happening, this time to the third person pronoun they. Example, as always, when language changes, some precipices get quiet uptick about. The Chicago Manual of Style tells people it is still considered ungrammatical, and the AP Style book tells you it's acceptable in limited cases, but they really prefer if you didn't use.
The mechanism of change. Models of one directional change assume that change in a certain direction induces further change in the same direction. Models of curvilinear or cyclic change, on the other hand, assume that change in a certain direction creates the condition for change in another, perhaps even the opposite direction. More specifically, it is often assumed that growth has its limits, and that in approaching these limits, the change curve will inevitably be bent. Ecological conditions such as the availability of natural resources, for instance, can limit population, economic, and organizational growth. Next. Language debt. While language can be dead, distinctions are commonly drawn between an endangered language, one with few or no children learning the language, and an existing language in which the last native speaker has died. The effects of dominant language. A language is said to be dead when no one speaks it anymore. It may continue to have existence in recorded form, of course, traditionally in writing, more recently as part of sound or video archive. And it does in sense live on in this way. But unless it has fluent speaker, one would not talk of it as living language. The effect of dominant language very markedly in different parts of the world, as do attitudes toward it. In Australia, the presence of English has directly or indirectly caused great linguistic devastation, with 90% of language moribund. But English is not the language which is dominant throughout Latin America. If languages are dying there, it is not through any fault of English. Moreover, the presence of a dominant language doesn't automatically result in 90 extinction rate. Russian has long been dominant in the countries of the former USSR, but their total destruction of local languages has been estimated to be only 50%. David Crystal, Language that Cambridge University Press.
All right, that's all about our presentation about speech communities and language change. Thank you.